is The Furnace with John Burton.
All right, we are going to talk about sex. So, if you are under the age of 18, turn this off right now. This is for married people. In fact, this is for married Christians. And Amy and I, we went to a retreat at Focus on the Family at the Retreat Center here in Branson, Missouri. And we've been before. I wrote an article on Charisma News about that previously, and now I'm writing an article about this phenomenal weekend that dealt specifically with sex and sex in the life of married Christians. And it was a phenomenal weekend, and we must, as Christians and we as the church, we got to start talking about this because the church isn't talking about it. And so how in the world do we think that people are going to be equipped in the area of sex? You know, we have marriages that are just, you know, these are people that are smiling on a Sunday morning, yet they are just devastated because of sexual brokenness in their marriage, or sexual rejection or frustration, or, you know, there's this anger, and it's common. It's extremely common. And yet people are too embarrassed or too, you know, shameful to address that, or they don't know where to go. Where are they going to talk about this? And marriages are breaking up because this is not being addressed. People are not being equipped. You know, truth isn't being revealed. Pornography is rampant. Husbands and wives, they don't know how to deal with their desires, with the things that are going on, and they don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn. And so what happens is Christians are tapping into the world's sexual experience. You know, this demented, confused sexual experience that's common in the world, you know, in this extremely sexualized culture that we live in. And so what they tap into that, looking to the world for understanding, or looking to the world for a model of sexual fulfillment, and it's messed up. And so in Christian marriages, it's almost like this, like it's sanctified lust. Like we're trying to experience this the same way that the world is, because apparently the world has it all figured out because sex is everywhere. And so we're trying to tap into that revelation, that experience, but to sanctify it, because now we're married, now we're Christians. And so we want to have, you know, these moments of these intense moments, you know, that sex gives you, and that's it. And it's frustrating, and it's not intimate, and it's not what God intended at all. And so, you know, this weekend it opens your eyes. It gives you language. You know, we dealt with things that were very, very, you know, sensitive, and things that, you know, and it was handled with such great integrity, and the people that were leading were phenomenal. But this is stuff that really has to be talked about. You know, the goal, God's intended goal for sex, is way better than what we have typically thought that sex was to be. And, you know, and they talked a lot about oneness. You know, the goal really is encountering each other, just deep levels of intimacy. And I mean, it's more than I could ever explain. It's more profound than I could ever share with you on a podcast. But it's not at all like what the world reveals. The level of passion, or the type of passion, or the expression of passion, not at all like what the world is experiencing. And so, you know, we need to rediscover, or most of us discover for the first time, really what God's intended, you know, purpose for sex is. And it's just, man, you know, we've got to get this. And, you know, so many, like I said, so many married couples are really angry and frustrated and fighting and disappointed and disillusioned, and, and they're getting married thinking one thing's going to happen and it doesn't happen, and it's not what they were hoping for, and now they don't know what to do, and they're turning to other things, inappropriate things, and pornography or lust or even affairs or whatever. And we've got to completely bring a revolution into this whole thing right here. And I'm not pretending that I've got it figured out. I don't. I'm simply excited because we had a great weekend and we learned, our eyes were open to some things, and it was really remarkable. And so I want to encourage you to consider one of these weekends at Focus on the Family, and they have a variety of different topics. It's not all. It's just this one particular topic is on sex and passion in the Christian marriage. There's other really great topics and weekends that you can experience. But we need a revolution. We really do. We need a revolution in regards to married passion. It's different. I'm not just going to say it's better. It's different, radically different than what we think it is. Why are we taking notes from a twisted world on what sexual fulfillment is supposed to be? Why are we drawing from that well? We shouldn't be. It's twisted, it's demented, it's destructive, and we can do better. God has done better. So I want to encourage you, read the article if you haven't read it already. I'm going into a little bit more detail, but I'll be the first to tell you, like I just said a moment ago, I'm not the expert. And I told my wife, I told Amy, I said, yeah, I'm writing an article on this. And she laughed at me. I was talking to her on the phone, and she laughed, and she said, you're not the expert on sex. And which I laughed, and no husband wants to hear that, but I laughed. I'm like, I know, but we learned something, and let's get this message out there. And so the answer is not listening to this podcast. The answer is not just reading my article, but the answer really is talking to the Lord about this, and hopefully you can make it to one of these retreats, because those folks are experts. We had a certified counselors there. We had there was a certified sex therapist there. I mean, godly people. It was handled with such great integrity, and it was fun. And we talked very plainly about things that typically you wouldn't talk about, and used words that you typically wouldn't use in a mixed setting like that. But it was so healthy, so good, so holy. It was right. It was awesome. And so I want to encourage you to do that. Check it out in the article. And by the way, if you're listening to this, I know some of you are not reading this podcast is not embedded in the article, maybe where you're listening from another source, maybe on Spotify or whatever. Go to my website, burton.tv. And the article, boy, I already forgot what I titled it. I don't have it in front of me, but just type in Focus on the Family, sex, retreat, and it should pop up there if you search my articles there at burton.tv. And I want you to be encouraged. There is hope for your marriage. You can do this, and you truly experience something remarkable and beyond what really the devil has convinced us that passion and sex is all about. So leave some comments. What do you think about this? All right.
Thank you for listening to The Furnace with John Burton. You can access media, read articles, and partner with the ministry online at burton.tv. And by all means, share this podcast with those who are hungry for revival, reformation, and revolution.